Hi y'all, this is House Guest and I am your host, Kenzie Elizabeth. Think a Gen Z wannabe Martha Stewart meets Dolly Parton trying to live in a Nancy Meyers movie in her 20s. We talk all about life, relationships, navigating your 20s, closing out the bars, or waking up at 5 a.m. depending on our vibe that week. Ultimately, living our best lives and figuring it out along the way. So come hang out. Sometimes I have guests on who do really cool things, some of my best friends, or it's just me and my house that I spend way too much time in. So let's get into the show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back to House Guest Podcast. I don't know why I say that every single week when there's literally an intro at the beginning of this episode. Anyways, I am here reporting live from Texas in my studio. This is not really my studio. Fun fact, this is actually the entry to my house, but I made it like part studio. It's makeshift. We're working on some things here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you would see my dogs. If you guys are not, you need to be watching on YouTube. This is my favorite way to consume podcasts, and I feel like you're just not getting the full vibe. Oh my God. And you wouldn't see that my dog. Oh, okay. If you guys have a golden doodle, what just happened here is the most golden doodle thing that I've ever seen. All right. Well, anyways, today we have Jessa Hastings back on the show, but this time we have Ben Hastings, her husband, joining us. Ben and Jessa are two of my favorite people. They are just the best. They're even better in person. I love them. I hope you guys are watching this on YouTube. This is actually crazy. Fitz? I have no idea where he gets his attention hog-seeking tendencies from. Seriously, literally no idea. Jessa is the author of Magnolia Parks, and well, actually, she's just an author now. She's an author, period. She was before too, but also never is out. Anyways, Jessa is an award-winning author. I don't even think authors win awards, but if they do, she does. And then Ben is also a musician. He is very, very talented. And guys, okay, I need you to watch on YouTube so you can see what I'm going through right now. He's very talented. You have definitely heard him a billion times. Friendly reminder, we have our Texas merch hats out now. As y'all are listening to this, I am in London for London Eras. It's going to be so fun. I seriously have to go because my dogs are actually making me go crazy. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. We're talking about their relationship. Ben and Jessa are kind of like goals. They're both very successful in their own rights, in their own creative fields, and they have an amazing marriage and they're amazing people, and I love them so much, and we all have so much to learn from them. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you guys haven't already, and follow us on Instagram. It's a really good one. They're so fun. Y'all will love it. And they have accents and they don't sound like me. So anyways, without further ado, let's welcome my friends on to the show. Okay, so we're here with my dear, dear friends, yes. Ben and Jessa Hastings. Mm-hmm. We have recorded with Jessa about, realistically, this might be the 7th episode you're on.
No way.
We really need to count you know that she's like changed this podcast. Do you know the story?
I don't think you would know, really. I wouldn't tell you that kind of thing.
Yeah,
because
I'm
please,
self-conscious.
She would access it about herself, you know? No, because we became besties on Instagram. You know, obviously, you know the whole spiel. But the first time that she was on the show was because, it was way before Magnolia Parks. It was because I was going to y'all for all of my, 20s crisis, everything from my life identity, faith, everything, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, this would be a really good conversation to have on the podcast. So I had her on, and people loved it so much that this show is really navigating your 20s now because it did so well.
That's amazing.
I know.
Isn't that cute?
That's so cute.
Yeah, so she's basically
Job,
the co-host.
Yeah.
At this point, you know?
What an honor.
Yes.
I'm honored.
Truly.
And welcome to our podcast.
Yeah. So welcome to our show. We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Can y'all take us through, I don't want to make you do this because you'll hate to do an intro, but a little bit of an intro and background because I want you guys to tell the story of y'all's relationship, how you met and getting married and everything.
Yeah. We can do that.
We met when...
Well, before that, 3 days before we met, you added me on Facebook. Do you remember that?
Did we? Did I?
Yeah, you did. And I was like, who's this really hot girl that just added me on Facebook?
Oh, yeah. I had recently broken up with a boy.
Yeah.
And I think I was just
adding boys,
yeah.
Nice.
Makes it feel special.
Yeah.
I was going out one night with my friend. I thought I was going to see my ex-boyfriend for the first time since we'd broken up, which had been a couple of months. And then we were both going to a show or something like that, and he didn't come. And I was gutted. And I said to my friend, whatever, let's just go to our friend's birthday party. We went to the birthday party, and I had wondered if Ben was going to be there, actually. I went to this party.
How did you know about me?
I had just seen you, I think. I'd seen you around.
Hmm.
And I think Hannah Muda had said something about you being really nice.
Oh, that's sweet. Thanks, Hannah.
Yeah.
So you added him to the list.
Yeah, added him. Put him on. Thought I'd give it a crack. Cast a wide net.
Got welcomed into the Facebook blast.
and we met that night and we
At a bar called, was it called the Stuffed Beaver?
Yeah, we were trying to think of this the other day. We thought, what did we think it was called? We thought it was called the Dirty Beaver, and we were like, that couldn't be right. That feels illegal.
The Stuffed Beaver
is not much better. But we met there in Bondi, in Australia, and then we have been together ever since.
Well, then that night, the friend that we were, the birthday, he wanted to get a tattoo. Remember that? So we kind of hit it off at this tattoo shop.
Yeah.
Then went and got fries from McDonald's.
Yeah, and pickles.
And I didn't like pickles at the time. But Jess ordered like a side of pickles, and I was like, that's really weird. And she was like, what, you don't like pickles? And then I all of a sudden got really self-conscious that like it was weird to not like pickles, so I pretended to like pickles and ate them. And now I actually love pickles. So.
Do you know what is funny though about that night that I remember was I remember thinking, oh, he must be interested in me because he only got a Coke at McDonald's. I didn't realize at the time Ben was an absolute cokehead in the in the carbonated beverage sense, not the other sense. Loved Coca-Cola.
I did. And we've
really traded places.
Yeah,
now Ben doesn't drink Coca-Cola because it was such an issue for him. And now I have become
You've taken it over.
I have really taken it over, but specifically Mexican Coke or Dr. Pepper. Any kind of Dr. Pepper, I'm fine.
Mexican Coke is so good.
It is.
Good. Unparalleled, actually.
So you guys meet that night.
Yeah.
And you're like madly in love pretty much immediately.
Yeah, we were.
I was at least.
Yeah.
I didn't know who else you were Facebook messaging.
Jessa had to delete a couple people on Facebook when she got home. And it took her about a week.
Yeah.
We hung out that night, I think, until like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You drove
you home in Nikki's BMW.
Yeah.
Drove the wrong way down a one-way.
That's true. It was terrifying. And then, then I think the next day or the day after, you and your housemates came to my house.
I remember that night driving home being like, oh, she's it. If I can figure this out.
So cute.
Yeah.
When did you feel like this was it?
I feel like
Once you deleted your Facebook.
Yeah. So like a couple days later. No, I think I probably maybe realistically wondered what we meant probably like end of May, right? And then I think probably by July, I was like, yeah, I think this is
by
probably
July?
it. Yeah.
Wow, all right.
When were you guys married?
The next July, a year later.
Okay.
We got married within a year, basically.
Yeah, because you were engaged at 6 months, right?
Engaged at 6 months.
I knew there was something at 6 months.
Yeah.
I was just saying
We did. We got engaged really quick.
Engaged at 6 months and married 6 months after that.
Yeah.
And now 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years this year.
This year.
We're going to
Look at us
Mexico
now.
next week to celebrate.
I didn't know that, actually. I didn't think that our Mexico trip was a...
Correlated?
No.
You're just putting that together?
I thought we were... No, he told me a couple weeks ago because I was like, we're not even doing anything anymore for our anniversary because we were going to go to Bali for a month and now we're not. And I was like, we're not even doing anything for our anniversary. He's like, we're going to Mexico. And I was like, that's not what we're going to Mexico for. So just so you know, I have not received that
We did
as
actually,
my anniversary trip.
It's just transitioning nicely into like problem area in our marriage, which is we actually had that conversation where I was like,
yeah, I know. You say that.
We both in the same city together and we're not both traveling for a while, so it's not going to be like bad to leave the kids for a bit. Why don't we do our anniversary trip here? I know it's like a little short of our anniversary, but technically we actually got married in
June.
We got like legally married in June and then went to Bali and had a wedding. But so I was like, it's kind of like it's like 10 days short of when we actually got married in June.
We got married on June 21st, but anyway, that's fine.
No, we got married on June 15th.
I'll pull it up.
I honestly
Please
don't know
do.
which one of y'all to believe.
With dates, it's me for sure.
Okay.
100%.
I don't know.
I do want to just say in the
I'll
last
find it.
episode, she was talking about, she's like, well, we have an amazing, healthy marriage and we really don't have many problems. And then she's like, well, I Ben can probably speak to, I'm a handful, like, ADHD, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is a good example of, no, we did have this conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, we're both wrong. It was the 23rd.
Oh.
Yeah, because it was a Monday.
No, you're making that up. It was the 16th.
It's
you,
not.
You just decided it was a Monday? Do you have this in your calendar?
Do you want me to find our wedding certificate? I have it on my phone.
Well, maybe after the pod.
Okay.
We'll see when
I'm
the
right,
actual
yeah.
What's the date that you guys claim?
We-
This
it's
date
no,
or
it's-
the wedding?
The wedding.
Normally the
14,
wedding, but-
14/7, 14.
But Jess is really funny with dates.
I
Like if she has to celebrate her birthday on her birthday, otherwise, even if I get her this amazing, we have an amazing party, buy her a bunch of presents, whatever, it doesn't count.
if it's
Okay.
not on the birthday. And we have been together 10 years, so I feel like you should have known that for the anniversary, but whatever.
So should you.
Is that because you don't want to celebrate yourself more than a day, or is it just because you also need that day?
No, I think it's because if it's not on the day, it's just a dumb brain thing that I can't get past. I've been like this since I was a kid. Like I'd rather, it's just
You'd rather not
it's a write-off.
celebrate it.
I'd rather not celebrate it if
Which
it's
is-
not going to be on the day.
Yeah, but except you
But then
wouldn't.
I will be sad the whole day.
Yeah, it's
I
like-
am a
it's-
pickle
it's-
around the birthday.
You really can't win.
It's
Also,
very
that's hard
loose-loose.
because background, like he is a touring musician.
Yeah.
And like, so you were gone a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, it is challenging to make sure I'm there for every single important date
Yeah.
in our calendar, which
You
extends
haven't been.
actually. You've been less bad at this year, but that used to extend to public holidays. Like Jess would be like, "It's
Public
Labor Day.
holidays.
Where are you?" I'm like, "You don't even." At the time, I was like, "You don't have a job." Like, what?
It was like the 4th of July. It's like, y'all have lived in America for a year.
Yeah.
Like-
Completely.
No, I didn't like it when he was away for Valentine's Day. I didn't like
That's
Valentine's
fair
Day.
enough. I understand that.
And I don't like it when you're away.
Halloween.
Yeah, that annoyed me just because of Junie. She's so excited. It's her favorite day. It's just being a bad dad.
We actually, funny date story was a couple of years ago. We just moved into Sherman Oaks, and we had one of the girls who was working for us at the time was Canadian, and also I had somebody on my team that was Canadian. So I was like, why don't we do something for Canadian Thanksgiving, right?
Mhm.
So we're like, let's do a barbecue. We'll get turkey legs. We'll have a whole thing. And I went and bought this big tarp, like
Like
a camouflage kind of like real camo.
It was
redneck.
He didn't
tarp,
pick.
right?
He didn't pick the tarp because of like a passion for the pattern. It was the only tarp available.
No, I thought it was cool. I was like,
What?
I could be the kind of guy
This
that has a
makes this
camo
worse.
tarp.
What's
So-
really surprising about y'all too is that they like love country music. Like
Yeah,
when,
I do.
the first time we went over like years ago and we were listening to like Morgan Wallen, I'm like, this is just not what I expected at this house, like at all.
I do like country music.
Yeah.
So I'm out there on the grill with the big. I had put the camo tarp down because I knew it was gonna be grease flying everywhere. So we're out the front of the house. We're grilling up, and all these neighbors are walking past, giving us real dirty looks. Like, and we've just moved in, and I'm like, what's going on? Like,
It's a nice neighborhood. It's
blasting rock
friendly.
music. Like,
We're being friendly to
we're
them.
being very. Yeah, we are being friendly, and people are just kind of scurrying past. Anyway, we realized in retrospect, Canadian Thanksgiving that year also fell on
Columbus Day.
Columbus Day.
Oh,
And they just thought we were out there with our camo tarp. Just
oh my god,
like,
like all right, like
yeah,
you're in Los Angeles.
I know. And we really didn't ever recover with
We're
the
in that
neighbors.
neighborhood?
After that, there was one other couple that
We
ended up
made
liking
friends,
us, who I
yeah.
think probably,
Didn't like us for a while.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. It
I
it
love that house.
It was. I love
Yeah.
that house.
I know. I
It
miss
was.
that
It just
house.
got too small.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a special house.
It
It
was a
was.
very special house.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so back to when you guys start dating. You
Mhm.
immediately know she's the one.
Yep.
You delete a couple people on
don't mind.
Facebook, and
Yeah,
then it takes
yeah.
you a little bit of time, but you get there.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? Like, explain that, because I feel like sometimes people, well, especially in the Christian world, will literally be like way over spiritualizing it,
Mhm.
or just in like the normal world,
Yeah.
they give
Yeah.
no explanation. So can you just explain that?
I can explain. I know for me,
Yeah, you go then.
I feel like I had dated enough people before that to know what I didn't want, and so in Ben, I very quickly realized a lot of things I did want, and then also I think that truthfully we just connected on a level I hadn't connected with another person before, other than Emily. So
Yeah.
Emily and my best friend Emily, who I have a non-sexual relationship with. And
Clarify.
then Ben was the first person that I had connected with in like a sexual capacity in a way where I had like
The same.
that same sort of
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing pretty much. Like
Yeah.
they felt like a homey, like no, that sounds so cheesy, but
Yeah,
you
that's
did. You kind
weird.
of felt like home a little bit. Like it felt like, oh, I can
So lame. He's a writer, guys. He's actually
I
usually
can do
really
better
good
than
with
that.
words.
But
yeah.
no, but it did. I was like, I did feel like we had a really good friend connection. Like we had a lot of fun together
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like I actually, since moving to Australia, you were probably the immediately like, oh, I could be best friends with this person more than anyone else I'd met there. And I had some great friends there. But it was like, oh, wow. And then also you were just really beautiful. And we had a lot of mutual interests as well, actually.
Yeah, I think that for me was like a connection point of, we thought the same. I remember feeling really excited about being able to like think things. And we liked this, like I was actually very impressed with Ben's sort of like approach to everything. Like he loved Disney movies, he loves all music, but like wasn't weird about Taylor Swift. And I had just finished a relationship with a boy that was so weird about Taylor Swift that I was like, it's not giving like confident in your masculinity, that's for sure.
That
like,
actually is a very, as dumb as it might sound to someone, that's actually a very telling thing
in
a man. It really is.
And this wasn't at a time, this was like, I think it was like 1989 era. Like, you know, you couldn't really shade her at this point if you were interested in shading her. She's had the best album ever has just come out. And this boy I had dated was very like about it. And I remember saying something about Taylor Swift and then you being, oh yeah, she's a brilliant writer. And I was like, oh, look at you.
Did you like really feel that way or were you just trying to impress her?
Yeah, I was trying to impress her. No, I've always admired just good writing. And I love good. That's why I like country music. It's like I just love good. I like pop. Yeah, I like good pop. I like songs when they're written really well towards a specific purpose. And then I also like just random indie music and kind of more artistic stuff. But I can really appreciate like a good Max Martin song or like something that is written quite formulaic, but really just hits the targets.
The other day, Dom and I were talking, and we're like, we really don't talk about the fact that like Ben wrote "So Will I" and like the Highlands enough. Like, I'm like, that's actually so crazy because those in our college years were so like, that's the only song anyone was singing. That's the only songs we were listening to. I can't tell you the amount of times we were driving listening to those songs. I was like,
that's sweet.
I'm like, we actually have never spoken about that. Like, we just like, don't talk about that enough. I'm like, that's just something we should like bring to the forefront more often in the conversation.
I mean,
nice.
we don't have to. I feel like it's been a fairly big part of our lives.
Yeah.
No, you're like, no, I know that I did. Yeah. So that's
I know that he did.
It's crazy because I'm like, it's so like disconnect. Like that's not what I think of ever when I think of you.
Yeah.
So I like I don't know how to describe it. I almost feels like it's two different like worlds.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I do feel like that too.
Yeah, I feel like that a little bit myself. Because I feel like once you write something, do you feel like this? I feel like once you write something, you put it out into the world, and then it kind of becomes, it's like sending a kid off to college, I imagine. Not that I've done that. But it's like now it's off living its own life, and you're still like very attached to it, and occasionally you like meet up. But it's kind of like, it's off doing its own thing, and you don't really know what's happening out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that with the books?
I don't know. Magnolia and I feel like very connected, but I guess to a certain extent, like the way that it's perceived and the way that it's taken, I have no control over. And I did struggle with that. At every point of a book release, I've always had a lot of anxiety around like, oh my God, how is this going to be taken now that it's going to belong to you and not me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably rightfully so after the last.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, very fair. You both also have such like the way that you guys view like most things in life is a way that, especially from like a faith perspective, is like the only way I can align with. Like that's how I've always felt. It's so, but you guys are obviously like far ahead of me. But I'm like, I'm like a little bit behind. The way you both are is so specific. I can't describe it. And then the fact that you guys found each other, it's like you guys, when I think about couples that are like meant to be, I've got like 3 and y'all are like the number 1.
Oh,
like
that's
seriously.
So nice.
That's really nice.
And you guys are so, I don't really know how to describe it, but just very specific in your ways. And it's like very unique. And then it's just like perfect.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know?
that's so nice.
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
really nice.
I don't know why I think you would be an easy person to be with because you're very amenable. Like you're so nice and you're steady and you're calm and you're relaxed.
Sure.
And you're clever and you're good at what you do.
Do you not feel that way about yourself?
No, I don't feel that way about myself. I'm clever.
There are a lot of those things.
I'm clever, but I'm a handful. I know that.
You are and you're not. You are a handful in certain areas. But in like kind of other areas, you're not. You're not very like.
I'm probably not the handful in the way that people that have read Magnolia would think I am a handful.
Yeah.
Or
Although,
like you're not emotionally volatile at all. You're actually you're very steady.
Until.
No, you are. It's like, but you will.
Well, I
but you'll
have
have
ADHD.
freakouts about. things, but never about us or about.
Yeah. Well, I have trouble regulating my emotions with ADHD. So like when I feel a feeling, I feel it to the full extent of the feeling. And so I will feel like I'm dying. Or I'll think Ben and I are getting divorced for like 45 minutes because he said something sort of that maybe he didn't even mean for it to be how I perceived it, because I'm very sensitive to rejection. So I'll be like, oh my God, we're over. This is it. And then he'll like walk back in and be like, hey. And I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. So that's where I think I am a handful for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not there for those 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
So it's easy for him.
It's a private battle.
and you're not like, which you're never moody.
No.
Or very rarely.
Yeah.
Would you just be in a bad mood with me for no reason, or because of something I said?
No.
So
I would make sure you knew. I didn't actually know. Ben and I had a conversation where he was like, you don't have to tell people everything all the time. That would be I would never be able to be moody at you for no reason. You would know. I would maybe be mad at you, but you would know.
Yeah, it's very
full
apparent.
well.
Yeah.
You don't have to guess then.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No. I wish people could witness one of those conversations.
Why?
Like not that. But what we were saying there about you. That conversation we had yesterday.
Why?
Where I was like, you don't need to tell everyone everything, and you're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, what do you like? Just you don't need to say like I spent the last 3 hours crying. And you're like, but that's lying if I don't. I'm like, it's not. And you just burdened that poor person for no reason. Anyway.
I just tell the truth. Well, I guess I feel like, I don't know, it's a neurodivergent problem for sure, where I just am oversharing without meaning to. And I just think it feels like lying if I don't tell the truth.
I feel that. I understand.
Mm.
But
Ben
sometimes
doesn't. God bless.
See, I'm like in the middle of you though, because it's like I will not tell people, but then I feel like inauthentic.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Right.
But it's like I don't want you to know. So
Yeah.
like sometimes it's none of your business.
Yeah.
Completely.
You know?
I'm sure it's literally never any of their business. I am compelled to
You wouldn't
share
make
it
it their
anyway.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, it is not.
Were you raised similarly?
No.
No, we weren't. But
Is that like hard when you get married and you grew up in very like different ways?
We grew up, in some ways, we grew up in similar like religious backgrounds. We had lots of family around us. We had different parenting experiences, for sure.
Yeah.
Like Ben was like a miracle baby that his parents had tried to have for like 12 years. And I was a surprise teen pregnancy. So we had very different like fundamental experiences like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But your grandparents and my parents would probably be
Quite similar.
quite similar.
Yeah.
You obviously had, I don't know if you guys talked about this before, but with not knowing your dad,
Yeah.
that's a pretty key difference.
Yeah. I didn't know my dad. And
Yeah.
you know yours, that's a big difference.
Yeah, so that makes a big difference. When you guys got married, like how do you like merge the two? Or was that not an issue?
No, I think it probably was.
I feel like, yeah.
Well, I think probably one of our like biggest struggles nowadays is we have both recognized that in the lack of like a parental figure and of me having a lack of a father or a parental figure is Ben often has to play like a parenting role for me, which he hates and I hate separately. So
Yeah.
that
I hate on
is
top of
tricky.
it.
Yeah. I
Well, yeah,
hate the
'cause
way a child hates to be like told what to do by their parent, and then he hates it because he's like, I didn't marry this.
But it's about it's just stuff that you didn't. I guess there's a lot of things that my parents did for me that like, forced me to do certain things.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, I couldn't miss school because I'd have to be really sick to miss school. Or I'd have to finish something I started, or all these kind of things that were
Like
just kind of
perseverance
drilled into
style
me
things.
that I didn't really have a choice. And I'm really grateful for it because I think it developed a level of perseverance and whereas I don't think you necessarily
No, I had
always
a bit
that.
more of a hands-off parenting approach.
Which means now you could quite easily have a desire to quit something if it's hard or
Mhm.
those kind of things. Which they're the sort of things that then I maybe feel like I have to play a role that is perhaps beyond a traditional husband role. And then also we fight about things like with the kids, like with Jeannie. You're so mad at me the other week because we signed her up for basketball.
No,
And
I'm
like,
so annoyed about this.
and I'm like, but the kid wants to play basketball.
Yeah, and Ben hasn't been there for any of the games. And in the
I was there for
busiest
one.
month and a half of my life to date, I'm then having to navigate how to take Junie to basketball games when I'm like, when I say hanging on by a thread, I mean the thread is already cut and I am flailing in the wind.
Yeah.
And Ben's not there for any of it.
We've done the same amount of games. Let's just,
I know.
okay.
But that was like when I've been
What you don't want to
wrestling
deal
with the
with
guilt.
is the guilt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the guilt. But okay, anyway.
Junie
We're not
is
gonna get into
also, side note, the smartest human being
She is very
that has
smart.
ever walked this earth. Like, it is crazy. She was like 4. And I'm like, you're 37. You're
Yeah.
older than me. Like, honestly, you know what? You know who would have not had any issue with the metric system? Junie on the podcast. Like, Jessa and I are Googling things because our brains are so dead when we're recording today. And she would have, she would have been so embarrassed. She would have left.
Yeah.
She would have been like, guys, I'm sorry, I can't be seen here. Like, it would have been, she's above us.
She is.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
She is.
I love her.
She's very clever.
We were at like a arcade place the other week, and she, like won a certain amount of tickets. So she's up at the counter, kind of picking her toy, and she goes to the guy, "Hey, sorry, can I just get that Diplodocus there?" And the guy looks at her like, "What? Like the Diplodocus?" And I'm like, "The dinosaur, dude." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
See, I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
She's just a genius. Like, she is like a genius child.
I actually
I've
don't
never
think we
seen
told
Young
you.
Sheldon, but it's kind of like giving Young Sheldon. You know, I've never seen it, but I know the kid's smart.
We went to last year. Junie was also diagnosed with ADHD, but in the process was actually diagnosed like a clinical genius. They were like, "Oh,
That doesn't surprise me
yeah."
at all.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, that makes
She
sense.
tested like crazy off the charts.
Yeah.
So good for her. And
You probably would as well, actually, if you tested it.
if I was tested,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you never tested? Do you have self-proclaimed ADHD, or were you
No,
not tested?
sorry, I meant like if my parents had ever taken me to be tested for a genius level.
Oh.
I wasn't taken to therapy. I took myself to therapy.
Oh. Do you want me to take you to be tested?
Maybe.
Okay, so back to when you guys are dating.
Yeah.
How you guys meet and then you're engaged 6 months later. Walk me through this. Like, how often are you guys seeing each other? And then also, was everyone like, this has been 6 months, this is super fast? Or were they, I mean, also it's a
In a
church setting, I
church
think it's
world,
different.
Yeah, there's a weirdly okay nature with that.
Yeah. A
Um,
lot of people, do you know what though? A lot of them got divorced. There are lots of people that
Yeah.
I knew that got married quickly too and got divorced. And we had friends that got married very quickly and also like had like a real shit show for a while, like trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
So I do think we probably like lucked out a little bit with like
Yeah. I
with
think
that.
a lot of people had concerns, I think, initially. But I think
When we were dating.
when we were dating,
Because we both had gotten out of like relationships quite quickly and then kind of like ricocheted towards each other and we were very full on very quickly. But
yeah,
to our credit,
it worked.
we've really lasted the
Yeah.
lasted
To our credit,
the-
we were right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we did have a lot of people with
Yeah.
not like it.
Your friends primarily. My friends were pretty cool about it. It was
That's true. Yeah. My friends,
so Ben's like weird college friends. Some of whom we are still close with now. Yeah, some of them were weird. Actually, no, the ones that we're close with now still.
no, I'm close with all of them still,
Oh, well.
and they were all
I'm
a
gonna
little
say
bit weird.
Danny
No,
and Alan.
don't.
Danny and Alan were my true friends.
They were.
They have been my friend the whole time. They were the ones that weren't weird.
They knew it.
They knew it. They backed me in. And my friends were regular, so they were fine. Yeah.
I had to win Emily over, I think.
Yeah, but anyone was going to have to win Emily
Regular
over.
meaning like not like
Not weird, like college,
like,
church college
church
kids.
college.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, aren't they the worst?
And I had one like kind of pastor guy who basically had this weird conversation with me one day because he was like, "You can't marry someone just because they're hot." And I was like,
Wait, who said that?
I'm not going to tell you, but
Tell me.
no, it doesn't matter." Well, they just didn't know you very well, and then I was
Tell
like,
me what letter their name
"No,
starts with.
I'm not getting into it." But I'm just saying I had to
Oh.
deal with that as well.
I didn't feel like you've told me this before.
There's lots of things I haven't told you. So this would be a great time.
I figured this was the setting.
Yeah.
You know? Well, okay, if everyone around you, or like a lot of people around you were saying this, like how did you know that they were just wrong and you were right?
I couldn't imagine not doing it. Like, there was no part of me. I think two things. I think with love, it's never a logical decision. Like, there's no part of it makes sense. You're like deciding to give your entire self to somebody else, knowing at any moment they could get hit by a bus and die, and you'd be devastated. Like, in essence, it's entirely illogical. But there's something, I think when you find the right person, it's like, what else am I going to do? I can't help but kind of tangle myself up with this person to like collide our lives. And so, yeah, it was less of like a choice and more of a like, well, no, I'm in. And if I had those doubts in a way that was, I think maybe I would have not done it. If I felt like I had the ability to walk away. That makes sense? Yeah. Like the emotional capacity to be like, well, maybe then I would have. But yeah, I couldn't imagine not being with Jess once I met her.
I just want to clarify, I'm not crying. I'm not emotional. There was something in my eye.
Well.
She would never give you that.
I would not.
I don't know if you've ever cried at something I've said, like a nice thing. Have you?
Nah.
That's like crazy to me. Like,
I'm not very good at showing my emotions.
Really?
In a moment. I cry. I had a big cry yesterday, but I did go away to do it. And you came and cried in front of me, but I couldn't have stood in front of you and been like, here's how I'm feeling. I'm going to cry. I can tell someone I'm feeling that way, but I will then cover it with laughter.
Laughter.
I love laughter.
I like that too, though.
Yeah. Yeah. My personal nightmare was this year when I was on a flight and I got kidney stones, and it was like the agony of like, have you ever had a kidney stone? I hope you never do.
No, but I know it is like the worst thing ever.
I would rather have a baby, 100%.
Wow.
Like it's wild. And I'm on this plane, and also just like sidebar, I was so angry at Ben the whole time because I'd had kidney stones maybe 2 weeks before, and I was like, what if I go on the airplane and I have kidney stones? And he's like, think of how many days have gone by. Like it would be like, what are the chances?
Okay, but wait, I want to clarify something here. This is back to the parenting thing that we were talking about. The reason Jess was on an airplane was for her career. It was nothing to do with me. She wasn't coming on holiday. She wasn't coming to support me in something. She had a shoot in Nashville.
I could have cancelled.
You could have cancelled, but again, you could have cancelled it. I was encouraging you that from a career perspective, this made sense, and the chances of you getting a kidney stone on the flight are small. But the fact that you're mad at me about that shows that it's nothing to do with me. I was just advising you.
I would be the same way. I understand.
You were like, you're not going to get kidney stones. Think of all the days that you haven't had kidney stones, and you just have kidney stones. Like, you've had kidney stones one of these days in the last month. Like, you're not going to get them. And I was like, what if I do? Turns out this is a thing. I actually, just FYI. On planes, it's the air pressure.
Oh, that makes sense.
So thanks for speaking out of your absolute asshole about that. Anyway, I'm on this airplane, and I get this kidney stone, and I start like weeping. And it was my worst nightmare because you can't help it. I have kept the pain inside for as long as possible. And this poor man next to me, he just kind of like goes inside of himself to a special place and doesn't know what to do. And I just cried the whole 5 hours.
Oh, that's a long flight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. I did feel really bad for you.
It was not good.
Were you on your way to Nashville?
I was on my way home from Nashville.
Oh, this was in January.
January, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was not good.
That's horrible.
But you got the trailer.
I did.
You got it done.
I got it done.
Yeah.
And you only blame Ben for most of it.
Yeah, I do. And yeah, just Ben, I guess. And maybe myself a little bit for not drinking enough water.
Very slightly, but not much.
Yeah, it's primarily him.
Yeah, you can only take like a certain amount of accountability there, you know? Okay, so you guys are dating.
Mm-hmm.
You get engaged.
Mm-hmm.
What is the proposal story?
Oh, this is good.
I've never liked like big traumatic proposals. My proposal had always been to like be proposed to like waking up in the morning in bed, like just like the rest of your life sort of thing. Not a big proposal gal, but Ben was a big proposal gal.
I was. I needed to make it like an event, and so a couple of days before, we got engaged on the 27th. So it was a couple of days after Christmas, and we were trying to do it before Christmas, but the ring just kept not coming. And we were leaving for Ireland the next day. A couple of days before, you'd said to me, hey, I'm going to the bank on, let's say it was a Thursday. I can't remember what day it was on. Do you remember? Queen of Dates?
No, that's probably like a Tuesday.
Yeah,
the calendar should show you soon.
So she was like, I'm going to go to the bank on Thursday to get the money. What was it? You needed money? You needed euros or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, in my mind, I'm like, I'm proposing on Thursday. This is going to screw up my whole plan. So I was like, why don't we just go today? And so she's like, no, I'm going on Thursday. And I was like, well, I need to go to, I'm just making stuff up now. I'm like, I need to go to the bank anyway. I'll get it out for you. Just give me your card. She's like, no. And at this point,
I don't like changes ever. And I'm like, why? And he's like, no, I just like think we should do it today instead. And I'm like, well, why for? And he's like, just because. And he's not giving me a reason. And so I'm start being like, is he going to propose? He's probably going to propose. Like, well, I just want him to tell me then because I don't like surprises either. So then.
So easygoing, seriously.
So low maintenance.
Yeah.
So instead of, like any normal person would be like, oh, he might propose on Thursday. I'll go to the bank today. Instead, she doubles down. And she's like, if he's going to propose, we're going to go to the bank. So instead of just getting that out of the way, I knew she wanted to be proposed in bed. So I actually showed up at her house that morning, climbed into bed beside her, proposed. The ring that I wanted to propose with ended up not arriving, but I had to propose before we left I can't remember. Otherwise, the ring wasn't going to come for another month.
Your parents wanted to have an engagement party or something
yeah,
like that.
So I got you like I got like 12 little like cheap rings, including a bunny
I still have the bunny
ring. And I kind of just presented them all and I was like, which one of these would you like? And then I'd planned this whole like day after that. That was, as Jess said, probably more for me than it was for her. But so anyway, I had like a old, one of those old convertible kind of 50s cars outside that we were going to drive around and do all this stuff. The first thing we did as an engaged couple was drive to the bank in a convertible and set up on a car, take out money. I can't remember. And she was like, she's like, what are you guys doing today? And I was like, well, funny you ask. And then, but we had a really good day. We drove up to Palm Beach.
Yeah.
Which
Just
is
like
where
north
that
of Sydney.
what's that new movie that came out that was kind of
Anyone
terrible?
But You.
Sydney Sweeney.
The Sydney
one
Sweeney
with
with Glenn Powell.
It's where
it's
all
all
that's
filmed.
filmed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were up there. We had a picnic. As we were driving, the boys had put signs up, like all these signs the whole way down. Then we parked somewhere, got in a boat.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Took
that
a
part.
boat ride, like a private boat ride across the city. And then we went to the Chinese arcade where we got our engagement photos, which was like from a Asian photo booth.
Well, I don't like the tradition of engagement photos. Like, I don't like anything that feels inauthentic and like cheesy. I'm not for it.
You don't like just typical tradition, period.
Probably, yeah. And so the only style of engagement photo I would take was those like, there's this Chinese arcade above the Capitol Theatre. And it's basically like Harajuku photo booths. And it's just like, it's like crazy color and like in language you don't know what you're doing because it's all in Japanese. And so it's Japanese arcade, I guess, not Chinese. That was.
Well, but it's okay. Sorry, it's part of Chinatown.
It is part of Chinatown, but that might just be
me.
like a racially ambiguous Australia,
Calling
probably.
it Chinatown.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, we
cute.
did that, and then we had a surprise party back at our house.
Well, I'm so glad you guys got to go to the bank that day.
Yeah, me
Me
too.
too.
What a treat.
That is like a little snapshot into what it's like to be married to Jack.
Yeah, that's actually just like a really good example.
Yeah.
It really is.
Like for what?
To the bank you go.
Yeah,
It's probably the most exciting bank trip you've ever had.
I liked it. I had a great time.
Of course.
It was.
This is where I would say you and Magnolia are like, besides like a couple other things, like it's like the similarities of like the stubbornness, like that part of like, well, no, this is what it is. Like that is very Magnolia coded.
Yeah.
Jess is very Magnolia in a lot of ways. It's definitely like a hyperbole version of her.
She's a sillier version.
You are similar,
getting closer.
but the way that readers are reading Magnolia is not like when they say, oh, you are similar to Magnolia, it's not what they're thinking. Like,
no.
It's like, yes, but not in the way that you assume.
Yes, I agree.
Like the toxicity aspect of it and stuff where it's
Totally.
like that is the part that isn't.
Yeah. The people that really know me are often like, they'll read the books and then they'll be like, I know. I can see her.
Yeah.
It's the personality and the undertones.
It's the quirks, really.
Yes.
It's like the weirdest parts of Magnolia and I are similar.
Yeah.
The things, when I first read it, and this is like the first draft, like way back, the thing that came alive to me was the dialogue. Like the internal, like all the internal dialogues made me feel like I was inside your head. Like I feel like the books helped me know you better because it felt like you, but in a way that I didn't have access to. And so I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then in some ways, because I loved the books from the start and thought they were really special, but I always had this doubt in my mind that I'm like, do I just love this because I love Jess and I'm getting to live inside her head now? Or is this actually as good as I think it is? And I'm glad it was the latter.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
Now that his arm's up on the table, should we circle back to this?
Yes, I did want to say someone asked if she would ever write a novella, and she goes, that would be a chapter of my book. And I was like, even her text messages.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
never going to be novellas. Yes, I do want to get to the tattoos in like 1 second.
Okay.
But my last question, which is a question that I know you guys are going to be so like y'all about and how, whatever. What is like one piece of advice you would give for a healthy relationship or finding the right person? But I know I know that this is going to be not your favorite question.
Healthy relationship, I think, is talking, like being good talkers, and like maybe communicating in the ways that you are able to communicate with each other. So I was a very bad communicator when Ben and I first got together. And for the first probably like year or so of our relationship, if there was like a difficult conversation that we needed to have, he would talk to me in person and then would leave the room and let me text him about it because I can articulate myself better in written form. And then he would come back in to talk about it and then I text him again. And that was how we communicated, but it built up a trust that
And we arrived there after.
Yeah, after some.
After
And you
it not
had a bad
working.
relationship too, that you were very like, you were hyper aware of like not falling into the same.
Well,
sort
yeah,
of
that would have
patterns.
been that would have been my answer to the question. Was like I think we actually did a good job at the start of our relationship in establishing good habits as far as like confrontation, especially, but even just other stuff. Like I think we kind of did the hard work early on, and yeah, because I think I just come out of a really bad relationship, and you did as well, really. And I was like, we need to kind of if I just realized in myself with other relationships that I'd let things become normal that just should never have become normal. Like, just the way we handle conflict, you like get in circles of like fighting and arguing and all these kind of things. And once I felt any whiff of that in our relationship, I was like, okay, no, let's cut this now. This is how we should handle this.
There was one time I remember early on in our relationship, we had a fight and I told you to go. And then he left and I was like, oh, will you come back? And he was like, no, you told me to leave. I've left. Don't say it again if you don't mean it. And I was like, fuck.
He showed you.
But yeah, I feel like we did that actually really well. And even our fighting then became pretty, like
No, we've not really had.
We definitely could. We have the kind of personalities that if we had to let that become a thing, like fighting, we could spiral into like crazy fights.
Yeah.
But there's maybe only been once or twice in our marriage where that's actually happened.
Yeah. It's like twice.
Yeah. Because I think we know kind of how to arrest it early on and fight kind of somewhat healthily. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents, is try to get good habits early on and work a little bit harder at the start, not to form the bad ones, like self-control in that regard. When you want to say that thing that you know is then they're going to say this thing and then you're going to say this thing and all of a sudden you're in this like horrible dance where you're just like trying to hurt each other, like trying to cut that off early on so you don't form those. So it's not easy to go there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's great advice. I'm going to give Jessa the floor to end this episode because she really wants to talk about your tattoos.
I do really want to. Do you want to just push it so they can see your... Right. Okay. So...
My little
Here we go.
pussycats.
Ben and I both have different... I would have been pleased for him not to have tattoos. That would have been fine with me.
No, I'm definitely getting that back from you.
I liked this one. I thought this one was nice. This is... Okay.
This was the first one I got, which was for Jess.
Yeah, cute.
And I got that backstage at the Ryman, which is
And-
kind of cool.
That's cute.
And he got it without... Ben talks a big talk about loving my books. He didn't know that BJ had that tattoo. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. Did you get that for BJ? And he was like, no. And I was like, fuck, you've never read the books. Like, you don't...
I have read them so many times.
Okay.
That's the thing. She says this. I have read every iteration. Like, I read it when Addison was a character.
That wasn't his name. But,
Addie?
Okay.
Addison was.
Addington.
Addington?
Well, you killed him off.
I did.
Yeah.
Because he was the Ben character.
Yeah,
Nah.
you said he was
It was too boring.
I'm DJ.
You don't want that claim, Ben. Well, maybe healed BJ. You do have some healed BJ in you.
There we go.
You have the loyalty, taking care of everyone around you.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain aspects, like the good qualities, but not like...
Yeah. I actually feel like I should have said this on the Magnolia podcast. I feel like in actually my trajectory of self, Magnolia and I, when I started writing book one, I was writing a younger version of myself. But by the time I was writing Magnolia 3, I felt like I was actually able to kind of be like, she and I were relating a lot more. She and I had sort of kind of reconnected in a way where I was feeling very similar to her again. And her relationship was with BJ was more similar to us, like, because he was a lot healthier and a lot like had gone through a lot of stuff and reformed. All that's to say, anyway, this, okay, so that was here's the one I like, not that one. Mm-hmm. This is the one I like. It says go Eagles, because Junie's school team is the Eagles, and she's very patriotic about her school team. And so I said, will you write go Eagles for Daddy? And Genius wrote go Eagles, and we thought it was so funny that he got it tattooed.
That is so cute.
So then cute. I got an Eggle.
And then he got an eagle that I don't like. I didn't approve of this eagle.
Sorry, Bess.
See, this is another great thing about your relationship in all seriousness is the independence. There's definitely some independence here, you know?
This one is that was in your next one, right? So Ben comes home.
Eagles.
I'm going to find a photo of Whiskey for dramatic effect. So Ben's like, I've gotten a tattoo of our cat, my beloved cat Whiskey, who Ben and I have had for most of our marriage. I'm a bit touched because Ben's never really given like much care to Whiskey.
Well, we should say this. Jess always wanted a cat. I was like, can't get a cat. I'm allergic, whatever. And
so then you got a cat.
While I was in the album making, when we were doing So Will I basically got home one day and there's a cat. And I was like, what is this? And she's like, you never hear I got a cat. I was like, I'm allergic. And now I'm actually not allergic.
Yeah, so you're welcome. That was what a gift.
I
get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
The gift of curing. Okay, so Ben's like, I got a cat. I got a tattoo for Whiskey. It's Whiskey's face.
I didn't say it's Whiskey's face. I said
you literally
it's a
said that
tattoo
this
for
morning.
Whiskey. I think it does look like him.
Well, that is like a wildcat.
Yes, I'm aware that they're different. I'm aware they're different kinds of cat. But that's what he looks like when he's happy.
That's not what he looks like.
Yeah. And then this one.
So you like the tattoo, and you told her it was for her cat to ease the.
Exactly.
I would never.
Exactly.
And this one's from May May.
So this is our other cat. May May.
I'll admit this one doesn't look like May May.
Yeah, obviously.
But it was like in honor of May May. But because May May is a really big cat.
She's a large girl.
It just says May on my arm because this is half of it.
Because it's only one May. It's only one. Okay, here she is. That's May May. Which this one
I'm going to be real with you. I think that's more.
Oh, this one is, of course, more.
Yeah.
A tiny bit more. But I mean, also, like, look at her face. Her face is so cute. And all of his faces are so like.
That's not angry. I literally chose the happiest looking.
Well, isn't that just a sad commentary on the state of tattoo tats?
Tattoo tats. Tattoo tats. That's what we're going to start calling them. Tattoo tats.
Tattoo tats.
Yeah. Ben walked in earlier today, guys, and she goes, oh, yeah, he's gotten tattoos that I hate. And I was like, oh, God.
I feel like this is when girls get banged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like.
Watch me. I'm going to get bangs this weekend.
But the difference is bangs go away.
Yeah.
I like the tattoos.
Isn't that true,
Thank you. I think you will like my tattoos once you get used to it.
I like this one.
They're going to grow on you.
I did also get this for Bellamy, and I kind of immediately regretted it. The Spider-Man tattoo.
That's my favorite one, actually.
Well, only because now people think I'm like a real like comic book nerd.
Oh.
Like they'll be like, oh, you're one of those.
Like you're going to Comic-Con.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I kind of wish I was that guy.
I would like to go to Comic-Con, actually.
We should go to Comic-Con.
That'd be fun.
Maybe with Bellamy.
All right, guys. It's been so real. We unfortunately are out of time. But thank you guys both so much for coming on. Where can they find you? And also, Ben has a new podcast. I knew you weren't going to remember that, so.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what a pod. Yeah, we were actually talking today whether we're going to keep going.
Yeah, it's crazy because it started 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
And it was meant to just be for.
Yeah.
We just filmed 4 little things to support a song we had that came out called What a Friend. But we might keep it going.
I think you guys really should keep it going.
Oh, thank you.
And you should make the episodes longer.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have a business meeting.
Yeah.
We definitely need some
Aiden
feedback.
can hop on a Zoom.
Yeah.
Good
That
idea.
would actually be really helpful.
Yeah, that would be good. We'll have a little
idea
meeting.
what we're doing.
Where do you find you? You're just a social media.
Instagram. Benjamin William Hastings.
Jessa Hastings. Jessa.Hastings, actually.
Magnolia Parks, everything.
Yeah, Magnolia Parks Universe.
Never. You're talking about never ever?
We did
Yeah,
a
we
little
talked
bit.
about Never a bit.
Never by Jessa, which I hate that handle because it sounds like a perfume. But
All right, thanks, love you guys.
Love
Bye.
you.